Hello YouTube. I know it's been a little while since I've been on. I had a little bit of an accident. Tore up my knee pretty bad. About 4 weeks ago I was hiking a trail called the Flatirons. It was a pretty rough mountain climb trail up into the Superstition Mountains here just outside of town. And well, spent the last 4 weeks kind of hobbling around. Just had surgery today. So it's actually already feeling significantly better. I can walk around. I got full motion on it already. I haven't had to have any pain pills yet or anything, so I'm pretty stoked with that. Having that injury kind of put me in a demotivated state, so I didn't do a whole lot of shop work the whole time. I kind of look back at it now. I was probably able to. I just didn't feel like it. So I didn't really get a whole lot done, but I do have a couple of new acquisitions I'd like to go over.
Good. New acquisition.
So let's head over to the bench and have a look at some of the new things that have gotten in the shop recently. So I ended up getting a few eBay auctions and visited a local auction and ended up with, quite the spread of new tools. I've been setting them out here and I haven't put them away because I wanted to go through a quick video with them, and with the knee injury I just hadn't done anything with it. So I got quite a few reamers. Some of these are actually brand new. They were all kind of thrown together, so hopefully they're not chipped or anything. I'll get them organized and put away with the rest of my reamers. So hopefully I should be fairly well covered for most reasonable sizes up to almost 3/4 of an inch now. With this same lot with the reamers and these Allen wrenches, I got all the way up to a 3/4 inch Allen wrench. Not sure what I'm going to do with that, but at least I did get 2 1/2 inches, which I do need a few of those. And random little tap handle. I forget what this one is. It's a Morse number 3. I'm sorry, not a tap handle, it's a die handle. Also in this lot, there was several of these taps, which I believe were all Morse. Or no, these were all duals. They're all dual taps. And fairly decent set of coarse and fines. Some of them, I don't think these had ever even been used. I mean, they're beautiful, immaculate condition. There was also, other than a little bit of surface rust on them, and some of them were a little worse than others. I put those over here. I'm going to go ahead and use some de-ruster on them. Again, they're still super sharp, and I don't think they've ever actually been used. An item I picked up at a local estate sale. Old machinist who had passed away was, I didn't actually know him, but a lot of the people in the local Valley Metal Club knew who he was, and they kind of organized a little bit of a estate sale to help out the widow. And I went and picked up the set of 5C collets because I didn't have any 5C collets, and then to complement that I picked up this collet block holder because I didn't have one of those. So a lot of times I was doing mill work, and going through the setup was always a little more difficult. With this, that should make that significantly easier. I also picked up this 60-degree, fairly large dovetail cutter. I was thinking of making a few tool holders for my Aloris tool holder. There's also a couple of drill bits, just random kind of junk. Now I'm ready to put that away. This I also got in that auction. I didn't have any angle plates, so I kind of threw all the stuff I got in that option in a pile and made an offer, and they took it right off. It was a very reasonable offer. I didn't get a steal on it, but I didn't get ripped off either, so I felt pretty good helping out the widow and getting a few more tools. This box here is kind of an interesting box. I picked this up last time I went to my stepmother's house. It was a box of a lot of my dad's old stuff. He was a heavy equipment mechanic for Empire Machinery, and then he also spent a lot of time working at some of the mines and the power plants up in sort of the northeastern Arizona area where he lived. He had passed back in 2003, and at the time I was more into, wood shop and building wood stuff, so I kind of went through that, got a few mechanic tools, and we ended up selling off a lot of the other stuff. He had a lot of heavy equipment mechanic tools that were things I would never need, 3-inch sockets and stuff like that they sold for a decent amount of money, so we ended up doing okay with that. But this was a box that was left over, and it's just full of a lot of random stuff that I didn't even realize he had. Some interesting things. These taps, that they're actually good name brand taps, but they have a nut welded onto them. Obviously, as a heavy equipment mechanic, he wasn't ever cutting new threads. He was always just cleaning them up, and it was probably a lot easier to throw something like this in a socket wrench and run it down through to clean up some old threads to get something bolted back on. But it's just some random things, some more taps that I can put in my tap. I picked up, these are some cast iron bar that I'd picked up from I think it was Speedy Metals. I got a project I'm going to put together that I'm going to be using these to build out of, so look forward to that. The next main project that I put together. Last but not least, I do have all of the parts that I'm going to use to kind of upgrade and finalize my rotary phase converter. I had picked up a new starter button that should be able to handle both. So it'll be a press, hold, start, release, and then a nice big mushroom button for shutting it down. When I purchased these on Amazon and they'd showed up, they were both like this. They just had the one, and it's either, you got either of these terminals, which is either, when the button's up, the circuit's closed, or it opens when you press it, or the other way around, the circuit's open when it's up and then closed. So for the off button, I'll hook to these two wires. For an on button, you'd hook to these two wires. When I got this, I was like, oh, that's not quite what I meant, because I wanted to be able to press it, have it turn on both contactors, and then when I release it, it releases both contactors and doesn't complete a circuit through it. So I'll kind of go through that a little bit. But I found, these were pretty cheap anyway. There was, I think, $6 for the two. I ordered a second set, and the buttons actually come off. So now this guy is actually two separate switches. It's what do they call it? Single pull, double throw, I think, where you're actually completing two completely separate circuits off of a single button press. And then I also got my input amp meter. I've got a voltage sensing relay. I've got a double contactor that has both an on and an off that I can do to bring in and out the starter and run capacitors. And I ended up just with a new contactor to replace the old one that was in there that had that one leg that was blowing up. Just didn't really like that, so I picked up a new one for that. And like anything, stuff gets collected in the piles. So I got, these things are ready for the upgrade to that. I've also got some plans for rewiring. Right now the rotary phase converter is just sort of stuck in the corner of the shop, and I have to drag a cable over to it to run any three-phase equipment. The final plan is going to have the whole rotary phase converter moved into the garage next to the air compressor, so that all the noisy stuff is in the other room and I don't have to listen to it while it's running. And from there, I'm going to have a three-phase panel put in and three-phase power ran over to here and have outlets put on the walls. So I'll be able to run, regular three-phase and just plug in wherever I need to. So that kind of covers the basics of what I've been up to. I do have plans to continue, and I will start producing some videos again. Summertime's here, and it does get hot. I do have AC here in the shop, but it's a very small one, and it's also fairly old, so hopefully it'll keep up for a while. Otherwise, that's pretty much what I've been up to. Keep an eye out, and I will see you in the next one.